less and less work, and it's going to catch up with you eventually. Okay, so we want to make sure we understand that. So I'm going to share my screen just so we can get into the assignment. Did you say something, Ms. Williams?
Nope. No, that was the recording it automatic. It was I had to mute it.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to our Google Classroom. Now I understand we're juggling two things. We have the Community Word Project folks here some days of the week, which is why I've been giving you less assignments. If you notice, I've only given you like 1 or 2 assignments during the week. But if they're not done, there's no grade. So you have to keep track of making sure the work is done. So for example, now I'll go back to the latest assignment right before I gave you the one for the break. We all read Little Things Are Big. We looked at the word wall in terms of new words that are being introduced, and we looked at our Jamboard. That was due on the 18th of December. This is the amount of people who have handed in the work. 1. I don't understand. Plus you had to do the Texas graphic organizer for the assignment. Jesus attempted twice. First he submitted and I sent him back with instructions. And then I had to send it back again because all of the assignments were not done. I specifically went over and told you there's 2 things you have to submit: the Jamboard and the Texas graphic organizer.
The Jamboard and the Texas graphic organizer are done. I could show you.
I didn't get your Texas graphic organizer, Jesus. I only got the Jamboard.
Yeah, I answered it. When we had the make an alternate ending and all of that.
I saw that for the Jamboard. That was well done, but I didn't get your Texas graphic organizer.
Yeah, that's done too. I could show you right now.
It wasn't submitted to me.
Hold on.
When I went into your assignment, it was not submitted to me. The only thing submitted was the Jamboard. So I sent it back to you telling you you have to attach the Texas graphic organizer. The only one who submitted both was Ajay Fatu. That's it. So I'm not sure how we're going to get or come in our grade.
Can I share my screen real quick to show you?
Not going to work. Sure. Let me unshare so you can share. Go ahead, Jesus.
You can see my screen, right?
Good morning.
I can. Good morning.
Okay. Hold on, because I can't tap this up. This is done.
Yeah, but it was not given to me. How am I going to grade it, Jesus?
I did. Look, the assignment is turned in. Hold on. Scroll down. This is going to let me. All right.
Look at your work, and you'll see that only one thing is attached.
You only go back up.
I'm thinking it's because it's right here. You can just click on it and
go back up.
It has to be attached.
Where it says your work,
okay.
Was the Jamboard. You see that?
Yeah, but I'm thinking because it's right there, you could just click on it, and that's what I was thinking.
Remember, we've always had to attach the assignment to give it to me. That's always been the thing. We've always had to make our own copy, add it, and send it in to me, right? That hasn't changed.
Okay.
So if you don't attach it, I don't see it.
Well, at least it's so easy.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on. I have to make a copy.
No, you don't have to make a copy.
Nah, because they said it wasn't my own.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember, when you make the copy, you put your name on it. You should say Jesus, the name of that PowerPoint, and then you send it in. This is something we've been doing. This is why I'm going over this, because I feel like folks have forgotten what's expected. And what I don't want is for people to get.
I think so.
And then when the semester ends, like, wow. Right. We only have 15 days for this semester to end, guys, just so you know. We end on the 22nd.
How it says both assignments?
Yeah.
So you see why I'm saying you didn't submit that to me now?
Yeah, you see, my thing was, I'm thinking that you could just click on it, like you know, the assignment was there already.
Yeah.
So I thought that you could just click on it and that was it. I didn't know that.
Remember, it's just like when we used to do the news ELA separately.
But
You always
so I
have
have to.
to copy and you always have to attach it, then send it to me. So it's the same thing. The reason why, and I think I explained it, the reason why I attach the news ELA now to the assignment is because folks aren't doing the news ELA assignments. So to get you to hand that in, you're going to get 2 or 3 assignments a week with the news ELA added to it, and I need both sent in. That way you'll get half and half.
And
So
I
right
have,
now, you'll get your full score, Jesus, and add your
Okay.
factor. No one else did the assignment. So, and that was due on the 18th of December. So I just want to point that out, that we're not doing the assignments. You
well,
cannot
you
get
said it
credit.
on the last day. You said
And
make
I
sure
said it
this
on the last
assignment is done.
day. I showed the screen, and no one did the assignment that was due today. No one. You did? Well, let me go back and check, because when I checked last night, what time did you do it, Ajay Fatu, last night?
I didn't turn it in.
Oh, you just didn't turn it in.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to give you credit, Ajay Fatu, if you don't turn it in? You guys are killing me. So we're going to do this now, since we didn't do it or we didn't turn it in. So Ajay Fatu, if you already did yours and you didn't turn it in and you're waiting to turn it in, feel free to turn it in, because I know that there are some assignments that still haven't been done from folks. But I'm going to go over today's assignment that's due today, and I was expecting to grade over the break, so we could have just reviewed what folks did today, but now we're going to have to do it now. So again, make your own copy, add your name, and then attach it and turn it in. The instructions are right here. So please don't make that mistake of doing it and then not attaching it to turn it in, because if it's not turned in, I can't see it to give it a grade. So let's go to the assignment for today. And I had discussed it right before the break, where you guys would be ultimately practicing something called a 3-read protocol. So before we did that, it was a warm-up activity where you created a 6-word story, where you basically highlighted a conflict. At this point, I don't need anybody to do the top part. The top part was just for you to have something fun to practice, to kind of remind you of how stories are created by creating that topic and that argument and then coming up with your central idea. But due to time, due to what we've been doing, I think for the most part, most of us are understanding parts of a story and how conflict affects that part of the story, okay? So we're gonna zoom past that and we're gonna go down to the actual assignment. So before the break, I explained that you'd be reading another excerpt or personal essay from the author called Jesmyn Ward. Does anybody remember that author?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And if I recall, I knew a few people told me they remembered her before the break. She's the one where we read her biography. We talked about her losing her husband to COVID-19, her son she lost earlier in life. She wanted to be a nurse, and ultimately she became a poet. So as we are reading her personal essay today, we're going to be practicing something called a 3 reads protocol. So based on the title, 3 reads protocol, what do you guys think that entails? What do you think happens if you're going to be practicing something called a 3 reads protocol?
Maybe it's like a different way of annotating.
Okay, so it's a different way of gathering the information and focusing on information. Very good, Jesus. And then what else based on the title? What hint do you have on the title that you're probably gonna have to do? In addition to, yes, annotating. Does it give you like a frequency, like how many times you might need to read something?
Yeah, like a sequence.
Yeah, how many times?
3.
3, right? So part of a good strategy, and this is a strategy that we'll be using, you'll use it when you get to your next section of ELA, you're gonna use it for the rest of this semester, is that you read something 3 times. And when you read it, you look for different things each time. So the first read, you find out what's going on, what's happening in the text, okay? So for example, if we go back to the last story we read, which is Little Things Are Big, we know that essentially the summary of the story is that there's a guy on a train, He struggles with a social conflict, societal conflict around racism. And that's what affects him in terms of helping the lady that he sees needs help, right? That's what's happening. Yes, we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. But then when you read it the second time, if we were going to read that story for the second time, we would have to talk about the conflicts that were developed. So we know he's in the train. We know he sees the lady. We know he struggles with helping the lady. He doesn't help the lady. Boom. The second read, though, we talk about, remember how I talked about root causes of a conflict, what causes a conflict? And I talked about what are some of the ways in which you end up in a dilemma, meaning you sometimes have to make one or two choices. Anybody remember that conversation? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I remember that.
Right. So when you do the second read, now you're talking about how the conflict is developed, meaning what are some of the layers and steps and, you know, extra things that are happening around that conflict. And that's what I was trying to get you guys prepared for. Why you notice each time you did a conflict or read a story, I wanted you to explain what was the dilemma, or what did they have to give up, or what they did not want to give up, or what were they struggling with. Like, I wanted you to think deeper around how that conflict was developed. Okay, not just identifying what the conflict was, but what about that conflict that drove the character's actions. Okay, what about that conflict that was so special or so specific or so important that this is why the character had to struggle in the first place? Because for every conflict, there is a root. For every issue, there is something that causes the issue. And there is something that has to be done. A decision has to be made in order to resolve the conflict. Okay? Everything. So the second read is when you start to think about how the author develops that conflict. And develop is just a fancy word for how does he explain or roll out the conflict. Okay? And then the third read is what's the central idea. So ultimately the central idea is this is what they wanted us to learn. It's part of the theme. Okay.
Right.
This is what essentially happens with the author. He learns that, you know, racism and bigotry and the way how the world is set up made him go against his character, right? That's why he's feeling guilty. So ultimately, the main character feels guilty about going against his true nature because of racism, because of societal conflict. All right. But you can't get to the third read and answer that question thoroughly until you've actually broken down the first two reads. Now, we've done it together. We fast forwarded, but a good reader does it through the 3-read protocol. Okay. So here they have an example of what this particular author wrote or someone wrote around her essay in the middle box here. It says, they witness our fight too, the quick jerk of our feet, see our hearts lurch to beat again in our art and music and work and joy. How revelatory that others witness our battles and stand up. They go out in the middle of a pandemic and they march. I sob and the rivers of people run in the streets. So let's say we read that section alone. I just read it once. I probably don't know what's happening, but can anybody give me one or two things that pop into their mind when I just read that? And I read it pretty fast. And this is why you can't read it once and get it. And when I just read that once, what things came to mind?
I'm thinking that like they used to fight outside or something, because they said that music and work and joy.
Okay, so you're hearing there's a fight outside, there's something going on physical, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else have anything that come to mind when I read
And
it?
then it says they go out in the middle of a pandemic.
Okay, they go out
in the March.
I'm thinking, right, I'm thinking this line right here tells me that there's probably a protest.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm thinking a protest. I'm thinking once the word march, it means that they're fighting against something. Okay. Don't know what yet, but I do know that it feels like, or it sounds like it's something to do with a protest, right? I don't know. Anybody else besides Jesus? Thank you, Jesus. Ajifatu, Iralis, Matthew, Emmanuel. I'm not hearing anything from anyone else. What else comes to mind when I've read this?
You also put it in the chat.
Anything come to mind?
It says people running the streets.
Okay, we got people running the streets. Okay. Anything else? Because I saw and the rivers of people running the streets. So we know that it's definitely a bunch of people, right? In the streets.
What does it mean to sob?
Did someone say something?
I was like, what does it mean to sob?
To cry, to have some more.
Right?
Yeah, not like just like a little bit too, like
yeah,
that's sobbing,
right?
Yeah, a little hysterical, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that what's happening in the text is we know that there's some people marching in the streets. We got that, yeah?
Right.
But we know that somebody's seeing it. You agree on that?
That's right.
Okay. So then if we look at it a second time, if we read it a second time, what's the conflict that's taking place? So we're going to read it a second time. They witness our fight too. The quick jerk of our feet. See our hearts lurch to beat again in our art and music and work and play. How revelatory, which comes from the word revelation, meaning when you can see the future or something indicates something's going to happen, that others witness our battles and stand up. They go out in the middle of a pandemic and they march. I sob and the rivers of people run in the streets. So again, what type of conflict do you think this is? Who's struggling here? Is it the people marching down the street or is it somebody else? What type of struggle do you think that's happening here? That's what we answer the second read. I'll see if I can find somebody to tell me. Ajifatu, what do you think is the type of conflict that's being developed here? I don't know if you're muted and you're trying to speak. I can't hear you.
You can put it in the chat.
Can you hear me, Ajifatu?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you think is going on here? It says they witness our fight too. Who is we that it becomes our fight? The quick jerk of our feet. See our hearts lurch to beat again in our art and our music and our work. Others are standing up for our battles. They go outside and they march. Who do you think is speaking? What type of conflict are they going through? That's what I'm asking folks to think about. Take a look at those clues.
ELA says it's a lot of people because they're marching. So if it's a lot of people, do you think it's like a self versus self conflict? Is it?
No, I was thinking it was self versus world, something like that.
Okay.
Self versus society.
Talk about society.
Society.
Okay, good.
Right.
You're on the right track, Release. Now, which issue in society do you think Release is being highlighted here? What do you think is the issue here?
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm getting. What gave you the clue? What line gave you the clue? And I highlighted.
They go out in the middle of the pandemic and they march.
Okay, so that was one clue we highlighted. And it doesn't have to be Black Lives Matters to march. But yes, we do know that they started marching. But is there any other sentence in this excerpt, in this section here, that gave you a clue that it's Black Lives Matter and not something else?
They say that they jerk of our feet, see our hearts lurch to beat. And then it says again, and our art and music and work and joy.
That's what made me see that it had to do more about culture and more about identity. When you talk about our art and our music and our work and our joy, right? It kind of sounds similar to what was happening during the summer and during the last semester when we talked about Black Lives Matter and what happened with George Floyd and so forth, right? There are definitely indicators here or clues here that let us know what type. So it's definitely conflict versus society, like Ireli said. I agree. So I'm going to type it on my copy. Again, you will be making a copy of this for yourself. And you're going to turn this in. And specifically, we talk about, I think, was it Ajifatu that said BLM, Black Lives Matter? Am I right?
Mm.
Right? And then you would give the quote. So whatever the quote is, that indicates our reason why we think it's Black Lives Matter. We're going to go with the art and the music. So I'm just going to make a copy of that.
Word. I did my first read response.
Very good. Now, before you share that, Jesus, let's go back to the first read response. What did we say was the first read? We said people were marching in the streets. Is that what we said?
Yeah, but I worded mine a little differently. I made like a little
Okay,
2 sentence thing.
I'm gonna
I
have
didn't
you.
just put.
All right, I'm gonna have you share. Let me just write it here. People were
Okay.
marching in the streets, right?
Yeah.
I think I had said it's a protest. It sounds like protesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what about the third read? So if we read it a third time now, what do we think the central idea is? Remember, the central idea is the marriage or the coming together of the topic and all of the clues, which we call the argument. It keeps being repeated. You can see there's a theme that's emerging. It's a pattern. And when you put that together, you get the central idea. So we agree that it had to do with people expressing outrage or supporting an issue that someone had. Okay? This is why this person's crying. This is why they're talking about our fight too. So we know it's somebody that's feeling some bad about something and they're seeing the support from other people. That's what we're getting here. And then as we read it the second time, we realized that there's a specific topic, there's a specific reason why they're all marching. And we've broken it down to the Black Lives Matter movement. So now that we've got our topic and we've got our argument, we've done our first read, we've done our second read, and we read it for the third time, we want to be able to put that in one sentence, okay? And can I have a volunteer read a third time, please?
They witnessed our fight too, quick to jerk our feet, see our hands lurch to the beat again, in our art and music and work and joy. How revelatory that others witness our battles and stand up. They go out in the middle of a pandemic and they march. I saw in the rivers of people running the streets.
Okay, thank you. So based on that third read, based on what we've been gathering, what could we say is the central idea now for this particular excerpt? What do we think is the actual message or overall thing that you're saying here in this particular story? Think of a one-liner. Think of a one sentence that could summarize all of this. I have one.
I think one sentence that could summarize all of this is, what is the central idea? That black life. I cannot wait this to go.
Take the time, think about it. And Matthew and Ali and Emmanuel.
That black lives and its people's problems were getting acknowledged.
Okay, so Black Lives, you said Black Lives,
Black lives were getting acknowledged
Black
for what
Lives
they've gone through.
getting acknowledged.
Right.
I like that. I like that. And you can back that up, right? You can actually go back and say, here's how they're acknowledging that. They're marching, right? They're supporting by protesting. So you put that as well. Okay, very good. Very good, Jesus. Very good, Iralis and Ajifatu. Three of you participated. So this is a rough run at the three reads protocol. We've tried it out. This particular excerpt in the middle, or quick, section of a bigger story. But what you're going to do now is you're going to now read the personal essay from Jasmine, okay? And again, we can get into the whole details of 3-read protocol. On your copy of the book, it explains to you what that is. Okay. Just like Jesus mentioned that the first read is annotating. I think you said that earlier, Jesus, that a 3-read protocol talks about annotating, right? It talks about how do we understand what we're reading. That's the first read. You read for understanding what's going on. So it's the first level skill that you apply to the reading. Okay. This is what's happening. This is what happened first. This is what happened second. This is what I got so far. Basic reading. That's the first read. That's what we just did with the excerpt that we looked at. But then by the time we read it the second time, we start thinking about, and in that case, it was the conflict that they wanted us to focus on. They wanted us to focus on what issues were coming up for whoever was telling us the story. We start to look at those literary devices, right? We start to look at the dilemma. We start to look at the struggle. And we were able to do that when we did the second reading, when we started to talk about the fact that this is an issue around Black Lives Matter and getting the support that's needed. And by the time we got to the third read, you guys were able to pull out what was important. Okay. Now we didn't take a quote, which we can go back and find that quote, which I think is the same quote used in our analysis part, but you were able to give me a 1-sentence response. This is why I asked you to give me a 1-sentence response, because it forces you to connection, right? It forces you to give me the understanding at the end, which is the Black Lives Matter issues being addressed in this part. And this is why this person is crying, not because they're sad, but because they're happy for the support that they're getting. Okay. I chose for us to practice it first before reading the purpose of the protocol, because sometimes I feel like just giving people information doesn't help, but once we try it out, it gives you better understanding. So on your particular sheet, you could go back and read what the 3 reads protocol is about. But I feel like once we try it, it's better that way. Okay. And here's another excerpt. They give an example. It's about my mother believed. So Ms. Williams and Mr. Cruz, I asked for your question here. I'm tempted, because I want to make sure they get it, to do this again with them. This example here again. And then on their own, they have to go and read Jasmine's excerpt and finish that up on their own. Or do you think we should go back into Jasmine's excerpt and have them look at that one now?
Where is this? Where is that at, Miss?
So when you, I'll show you right now. So when you, if I can get back to it.
Which one's longer?
I just turned in the one we just did.
Wrong one. So when you go into your copy, see that blue highlighted thing that says 3 read protocol? It's a link.
Okay. Let me unsubmit it real quick.
And as well as the essay that you're going to read from Jasmine Ward, you click on that link and there is a link to that. Okay. So this is what you're going to read and fill out your 3 read protocol. So you're going to erase my sample and erase the middle excerpt and put that in. But for the purpose of practicing, for the purpose of understanding how to do the 3 read protocol.
I got you. So we're going to copy and paste. Mother,
what you could do is when it's time for you to do the personal essay for Jasmine, you just take out my notes. Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to make your own copy of it. When you make your own copy, you take out my notes and you put in your notes based on what you read about Jasmine. But I'm saying in the purpose of practicing, I clicked on it just to show you guys what exactly what the 3 reads protocol is. And you can read that on your own time in terms of what's the reason for it. I think we got the reason. We read it 3 times so we can get a better understanding. Yeah. That we can be able to, and you guys won't be able to type on this, just so you know. This is just for reading purposes. But I'm just saying for Ms. Williams and Mr. Cruz, do you think we should go back to the Jasmine? Or should we try this together one more time to see if everyone has gotten the 3 read protocol? That was my question.
I think we should do this.
Okay. So let's try it out together. And I haven't made my own copy of this. So if you notice, it says request edit access. I have to make my own copy to be able to type on this. I don't want you guys to do this. You don't have to make your own copy of this one. This is just the examples, okay? But for the purposes of us practicing this now, I'm going to hurry up and make a copy for myself, so we can write on it together. And then we'll take it from there. So let's try it out. And I want to try to get people who have not tried anything to chime in. Hold on, it's loading. Okay. So we have a different excerpt now. I need someone to read the excerpt in the middle. And I'll choose someone. So Emmanuel, can you please read the excerpt in the middle?
My mother believed you could be anything you wanted to be in America. You could open a restaurant. You could work for the government and get good retirement. You could buy a house with almost no money down. You could become rich. You could become instantly famous. Of course, you can be a prodigy too. My mother told me when I was 9, you can be best anything. What does Auntie Linda know? Her daughter. She is only best tricky. America was where all my mother's hopes lay. She had come to San Francisco in 1949 after losing everything in China. Her mother and father, her home, her first husband, and 2 daughters, twin baby girls. But she never looked back with regret. Things could get better in so many ways.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So if we're going to do a first read on this, what would we type here? What's going on in this story? Ali, Ajifatu, Matthew, what's happening in that story? What's the most basic thing happening here from what we saw?
That her family believes that you could be whatever you wanted to be if you put your mind to it.
So a mother believes what?
That you could be what you
could be whatever you wanted to be in America?
Right.
Why am I adding America in there?
Because they're coming from China.
Thank you. No, she's saying when she migrated, right? Somebody
migration, yes.
Okay, good. So that's the first read. That's what we're getting.
Who wasn't there like the nomads, right? That they migrated?
Yeah, the nomads
are
our first, right? Our first people who traveled across the world. But here, is there anything else happening here? Besides the fact that you believe that you could be whatever you wanted to be in America, or that's it?
You can be the best at anything. What does my auntie Linda know? Her daughter, she is only best tricky. America was where all my mother's hopes lay. She had, so we can say that our mother.
When it's never lost hope, you want to say she lost a lot of things, but still felt like you could accomplish anything, or do you think that's okay for the first reading? It's fine, because remember, we haven't.
It's get straight to the point. It's very simple.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we're gonna read it for the second time, and I'm gonna ask. I haven't heard from you. Ali, are you there? Ali, are you here? Can you hear me?
I don't think we've heard from Matthew.
Yeah, I was going to ask him next. What about Matthew? Are you here, Matthew?
Yeah, I answered the question already.
You did? Because I didn't hear anything. Yeah. What is it you can read then? What do you have with your answer?
I said character versus social.
Character versus society?
Yeah, the first time. Society, I mean. The first time. You didn't listen to me.
Yeah, I didn't hear you. For some reason, I couldn't hear you. So you're saying character versus society, and what type of issue in society is happening here? What exactly? Huh? You said something, but I couldn't hear you, Matthew. What you said? I don't know if it's your microphone, but I can't hear you.
You can also put it in the chat.
I don't want to miss what you're telling me. You said it's character versus society. And I'm asking you what specific issue in society is happening here.
Unmute yourself, Matthew.
Anyone else wants to chime in as well? Feel free. We read it a second time. What exactly is happening? It doesn't have to be a conflict, guys, that we're highlighting. Remember that. It's whatever issue that's coming up. If you don't want to put a label on it, what is something that's happening here?
So sometimes we don't have words for this.
Okay, so I think that the conflict is character versus self. Whoever the protagonist is deciding whether she should go to America because her mother was saying how much she put faith in her hope into the idea of going to America and being able to live a good life. Because she says things could get better in so many ways. So that would be
now
what I would quote.
You're on the right track. But is the person already in America, or are they coming to America? Because remember, the person.
I think they're already there.
Good. I just wanted to make sure we understood that. So you're saying it's a character versus.
She said my mother believed. That's why.
Okay.
My mother believed.
So you're saying it's character versus self issue. Whereas this person is trying to wonder if they should believe what their mother tells them.
Right.
You're saying?
Yeah, and they're trying to find out for themselves.
Okay. Anybody else agree with Jesus? Do we agree with him? Or do we keep it up society like
leave it as character versus society, right? Because if society is what their mother thinks, then they're right.
Okay.
But also
we're sticking with character versus society, but it's more about what? What's a specific example or issue here? Because Jesus is fighting for society, for itself. He says it's this inner struggle with this particular narrator stating that they don't know if what their mother is telling them.
But it doesn't say anything. Like, it doesn't say that these are what people think or this is what the world thinks. This is her opinion
what the mom
about her mother.
Right?
So
Okay.
that's why I don't think it's character versus society.
Maybe it's even character versus character.
I think it's more so, character versus.
Okay.
So.
And Ms. Williams, why do you say character versus character?
Right.
It's her idea of the world versus her mother's.
You agree with that, Hetty?
Yeah.
Okay. Matthew, you said it was character versus society, but I couldn't get to hear why you thought that. Were you able to speak now? I don't know.
I'm coming.
What you said, Matthew?
I'm writing on the chat. I'm coming.
All right. Okay. So I've heard, I'm just going to put what everybody said. So I heard character versus character. I heard character versus, was it society? And I heard character versus character. Am I right?
Character versus self.
Oh, self, yeah. Okay.
It's 9:10, ladies.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. I see it.
Okay.
And we're trying to figure out which one adapts, right? So let's say we go with each one.
Here's Matthew.
What did Matthew say?
Is character versus society. They moved from China to America because the mom believes they could be rich and also be famous. Okay.
So what is the society issue there? Because remember, when you talk about a society, you have to mention what that issue is in society. Is it that society has taken everything away from them? Is society saying that they're no good? Is society saying, come to us, we'll help you? Like, what specifically is going on in the society for there to be a struggle with society? You get what I'm saying, Matthew? So you got to be able to explain that.
People don't know the wording for it, but like this is called the American dream.
Right.
Right. So the idea that America is this golden palace where anything is possible.
Right.
Is the American dream.
And
so we don't have the words for it.
Right. And the narrator, the person telling the story, seems to struggle with their mother's concept or view of the American dream.
Right. So
They're-
I think we
they
should
don't know if
change
they
the first
agree.
read.
Right. They don't know if they agree with the mom's perception of this American dream. So
Right.
that's why you could still argue character versus society. You could still argue character versus character. Miss Williams said it. It's a narrator. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but it's a child versus their mother's perception, right? And I can still see where it's character versus self because it's a struggle within themselves around whether or not they should take this particular view. So you see how you can have different conflicts. But the point is, once you pick one, you have to be able to explain that. Okay? We clear on that, guys? Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know if anybody wrote in the chat. I can't hear anything.
Yes, we clear.
Okay. So once you choose which conflict you want to tell me with the quote, that's going to best support that. So if you just plop a quote and it doesn't best support it, you can't tell me how to support that. I'm not taking that. You got to be able to say how and why. So after you finish the second read, we go to the third read. What would be our overall central idea here? A one sentence response.
Right.
Right? I'm going to say mother's idea of the American dream might not be my dream. Do we agree on that? Or do we think it should be something else? Some people might say, never lose hope. I don't know. You can go with different things. What do you think, Miss Williams? You have another sentence? You think that's a good one?
I would say
The American dream fuels your power. Like what? What do we think?
it's very okay.
It's tricky. It's complicated.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you could get into it. Like I was thinking about the conflict between her and the Auntie Bao or whoever that is. Auntie Lindo, right?
Yeah.
So Auntie Lindo obviously does
Auntie Lindo
highly of this child, thinks more highly of her daughter. And
so then what would you
be like? I would think
things are not what they seem. I don't know.
Mother pushing daughter to be her best.
Okay. Mother pushing her daughter to be the best.
Yeah, pushing her daughter to be the best.
Okay. All right. So again, these are a couple of sentences. You would only do one, but we're getting the gist of the three read protocol. It's about reading it 3 times in order to start to really get down to the details, the finer details of a particular reading. So because of time, here's what I will need you to do on your own. Please do it on your own so we can discuss it tomorrow. You're going to go back to the actual document that was attached for you to do. It's a day 4. Do not worry about the top half. Just go straight to the bottom and you're going to click on the personal essay of Jesmyn Ward. Do we understand that, guys? Please respond and say yes.
Yes.
Okay. When you click on her essay, you're going to fill in the 3 sections of this graphic organizer. Make a copy for yourself because you don't have a copy for yourself. When you make the copy and you put your name, erase or remove our notes that we have here, because you will have to fill in your notes based on the personal essay by Jesmyn Ward. Okay, can we do that please today? Hello, we do that today, thank you. And then when we come tomorrow, we can discuss this and move on. So thank you for your patience. We're over by a couple of minutes, but I wanted to make sure we had some practice on the 3 read protocol. Tomorrow we'll have the community word project people here. So that means we won't be able to address this again until Wednesday. So for those of you who don't get it done tonight, you still have an extra day to get it done, but I need it to be done by the time we meet together again to complete this assignment, okay? All right, folks, you have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ajifati, as usual, you stay here. Everyone else, have a good day. Hermione, I didn't call on you today, so next time. All right, guys, have a good day. All righty. So you think I should just go ahead and erase the notes myself?
Make a copy for yourself and then erase them.
Okay. Well, this is my copy anyway, but you mean make another one?
No, but if you sent, did everybody get their own copy?
No, they have to make a copy of this one. For some reason, this wouldn't allow me to make
So
copy. So I was gonna erase everything.
make another copy
Okay.
and erase this one.
All right. Copy. Ha ha ha. No pun intended. All right. You guys have a good day. And welcome back.
That was funny.
All right, let me stop
It
sharing.
was.
Copy.
Copy.
Again, guys. Happy New Year again.
Same to you. I spoke. Do you have a minute, Miss Morris?
Well, we can't speak here because
Okay. The class, Mr. Roscoe's class is coming here?
Yeah, this is Dr. Rascoe's class now.
Oh, okay.
Give me a call.
All right. Okay. You think he'll mind? Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Lopowski.
Good morning.
Is that Mr. Stewart?
You think he'll mind if I stay in his class?
Who, Dr. Rascoe?
How much you willing to pay?
You
gotta pay me and Miss Williams as well.
You'll be fine, Mr. Stewart. You can stay. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to object. Just say so. That's all.
Come on, Miss Morris. I was gonna cut you in.
No, have me recording on YouTube. I have to behave myself.
Oh, let me stop recording.
Yeah, you got to
go. That was crank.